my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So, for today's movie, I will be reviewing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, starring Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller Bridge, Mads Mikkelsen, and directed by James Mangold. So, it's 1969, and Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, because, who else? Is approaching the end of his teaching days, and he's kind of excited too because his students don't share his enthusiasm for history as much as he does. However, his desire to retreat into the void that is retirement in his man cave and apartment is thwarted by his long estranged goddaughter Helena, played by Phoebe Waller Bridge, who wishes to enlist him to help her find the titular Dial of Destiny. It's never actually called Destiny, it's just referred to as a dial, and it's got some long, Greek-esque name that I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. Anyway, initially, Indiana Jones is kind of hesitant to help her seek this dial out, but when the two of them find out that Nazi Voller, played by Max Mikkelsen, wishes to use the dial to rewrite history in favor of the Nazis, he decides to don the iconic whip and fedora once again to go off and, do what Indiana Jones does best: punch Nazis in the face. So the film has two primary weaknesses: the action scenes and the screenplay. So the action scenes, they lack the precise editing and blocking of the first four films. Like with the originals four, it's like the actions, there's long takes, the editing is relatively sparse, and the blocking is very well done and done with a lot of wide shots. Here, there's a lot of editing going on, and for lack of a better term, the film is edited like, your typical action blockbuster, which is a shame because the efficient yet very iconic editing and blocking of the original movies was kind of what made them so well loved. Heck, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is a polarizing entry, even that film has much better action scenes. Also, not helping matters is the fact that anytime the action takes place at night or underwater, the visuals become murky and it becomes hard to make things out. And honestly, it's just kind of embarrassing at this point. It's like, Disney, you spent $300 million on an Indiana Jones movie, and you couldn't figure out how to up the brightness just a wee bit. It's like, really? It's kind of embarrassing at this point, especially coming off the heels of Disney's latest live action movie, The Little Mermaid remake, which also suffered occasionally from murky visuals. It's just frustrating in that regard. And then, of course, to acknowledge the elephant in the room, there's de-aged Harrison Ford. So, for the first few minutes, the sight of Harrison Ford being de-aged nearly half a century is quite a sight to behold. Like, honestly, if I didn't know any better, I think I might honestly say that if that visual, that they literally went back in time and brought 40-year-old Harrison Ford to do scenes for this movie. But then the site starts talking, and my brain just couldn't reconcile the fact that I was watching a 40-year-old man talk with the voice of an 80-year-old man. My brain, the cognitive dissonance was just too strong. So the next issue is with the uneven screenplay. So on the plus side, it features creative setups and payoffs and are established visually, and the actors are given fun, witty banter to work with, and the actors clearly have fun with it. Phoebe Waller-Bridge has an especially fun moment where her character deciphers a tablet. Harrison Ford has some fun, good moments filled with pathos. One especially that takes place on a boat that's really well done and makes you feel the heartbreak that he's feeling in that moment. But then on the negative side, the screenplay kind of feels derivative of prior entries. and it doesn't, and it saddles some of the actors with material that doesn't allow them to shine properly. Like Antonio Banderas just feels kind of like an afterthought in the screenplay, and that's kind of a bit of a problem because at one point, Indiana Jones is like, "He was my best friend." It's like, okay, I mean, I don't doubt that, but it's like we, the audience, we only knew the character for barely 15 minutes. The character's not bad, he's charming enough, but not enough to, make you feel a lot of heartbreak, over this character. And then there's the exposition regarding the titular MacGuffin itself. In the original entries, the exposition is doled out clearly and over time. Like, you never feel like waterboarded with exposition. With the fifth entry, it gets like there's a lot of back and forth dialogue, and it gets way more convoluted than it needs to be. It's not hyper convoluted like some other movies I've seen that have handled their MacGuffins, but it's more convoluted than it needs to be. So the performances are decent all around, although the gap in terms of how much characters have to work with versus actors that don't have a lot to work with is very stark. Harrison Ford, once again, does a solid job as always, playing Indiana Jones with more world weariness than usual, I would say. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is fun to watch as a contraband dealer that has a genuine love and passion for archaeology. And Hoydbrook is decent, if a tad overqualified, for his role as a trigger-happy henchman. And then there's Mads Mikkelsen. He, again, like I said, he does a decent job as the Nazi Voller, but he's not given the memorable dialogue that either of the villains from the prior four entries had. And so, yeah, it just, again, he's all right, but he's not, again, it's not as memorable as as prior villains. Although I will say this, the character Voller does have an interesting twist to how he wishes to rewrite history in favor of the Nazis. So, though it's fun to see Harrison Ford don the iconic fedora once again, Dial of Destiny doesn't quite find cinematic treasure due to uneven plotting, murky VFX, and uneven action scenes. So, with all that in mind, I will be giving Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 2.5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Indiana Jones movie and why?